Hi, my name is Sierra Hebson, and I am going to talk about my Capstone project, which is the Middle Note podcast. The purpose of my podcast was to allow people a safe space with different viewpoints to explore the nuances of cancel culture in music and to question if cancel culture is beneficial for society. I also wanted to create a space for people with different backgrounds, beliefs, and values to come together on the one topic that unites everyone, which is music. The focus of this project was to help bridge the gap between audiences by creating a podcast that brings people together to talk about musicians on the verge of being canceled or who have already been canceled. We used critical thinking by asking questions free of bias to explore whether it's worth canceling musicians and if we should separate the art from the artist. My target audience was music lovers and whether they agree or disagree with cancel culture. So, why did I choose this topic? Well, first and foremost, music is one of the most important things to me in my life. I also love pop culture and entertainment news. I've been on both sides of the political spectrum and have been an overzealous thinker. And since I've been in college and have had some real life experience, I've learned that life doesn't always exist in black and white. Another reason is for the media. At the time that I started thinking about my project, there were news reports of controversy that started coming out about Lizzo, The Killers, Kanye West, and Oliver Anthony. Another reason was the societal impact that this topic of cancel culture has, and that there has been so much division among people because of the internet and the digital world, where people can express their outrage. However, it doesn't seem like there's much room for skepticism when it comes to these issues. And finally, this topic relates to my major and my minor. As a mass communications major, this project helped me demonstrate how much mass media has an impact on society. My minor is communication studies, and this project allowed me to use interpersonal communication, storytelling, public speaking, and critical thinking. My secondary research, I used 6 different articles from journals, books, a newspaper site, and 2 websites. These articles were about the controversies surrounding Kanye West, Lizzo, The Killers, and Oliver Anthony. And you can pause to read the titles of these articles. For my primary research, I conducted a focus group of 6 individuals from different racial backgrounds, generations, and men and women to hear their opinions and attitudes towards cancel culture in music. The focus group took 1 hour and there were 8 questions. I would like to share 4 of these questions with you. The first question was, at what point should a musician be canceled? One woman said, anytime you devalue someone else is when you should be canceled. R. Kelly devalued women and girls, so culturally he should be taken off and canceled. Another question I asked was, have you personally canceled a music artist, and if so, what led to your decision? One of the participants said, the musician I can think of is Ted Nugent. I grew up listening to him in high school and was a huge fan of his, and it burst my bubble when he came out with a certain position on politics. Another question I asked was, how does social media play a role in cancel culture within the music industry? One participant said, true cancellation would happen if you were truly embedded in the industry. If you can't get hired to do movies anymore, radios won't play your songs anymore. If YouTube demonetizes you, you're getting canceled. But because of social media, anybody can go on there and not be canceled because of how you get negative perceptions among the people who see your social media, but you're getting even more engagement because of that. And finally, I asked, do you think cancel culture in music is overall more dangerous or beneficial for our society? One person said, I think it's great to hold people accountable for terrible things they've done. It's great to hold people like R. Kelly accountable. I think it does go back to how big was the offense that was committed, first of all. But at the end of the day, I think accountability is what matters. I also had guests on my podcast. On the first episode, I had David Spivak speaking on Kanye West, which David is culturally Jewish. The third episode, I had Dakota Hargrove, who spoke with me about Richmond, north of Richmond. Dakota does come from a different political as well as working background than I do. And finally, I had Stephen DeBose on the episode on Lizzo, where we talked about Lizzo's statement in response to the allegations against her. So the key takeaways were that people are not as divided as the media and internet portrays. People are looking to have a culture of accountability and being selective about who they cancel and why. People are open to seeking to understand the reasons behind people's actions and their stories. Also, comments on social media are not a very good metric to measure the loyalty of fans to artists. And finally, if people don't agree on topics, they are wanting to create a culture of growth and respect for one another. The deliverable is the Middle Note podcast, which I will take you to the website. So here we have my website for the Middle Note. We have a description of what the podcast is. Here, you can choose what platform you would like to listen to the podcast on. And finally, we have the list of podcast episodes. The lessons I learned from this podcast and this full project is that we don't have to be afraid to question things that are trending in the media. It's okay to look at both sides of every story or issue. You don't always have to make up your mind or take an immediate stance the minute a major headline drops. And finally, you can have a civil conversation with someone who comes from a different background and find that you may have more in common than you realize. Thank you so much. This has been such a great experience doing this project.